Okay, hello, my friends. Good morning. My name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide you context in the war in Ukraine. I do these updates on Ukraine war news every day. This is the daily brief. I'm going to talk about Kursk. I can't not talk about Kursk. Half of what I'm going to talk about is about Kursk. But I'm going to also give you a few other bits of what's going on because there was a massive drone attack last night by the Ukrainians, and there was a missile strike on a shopping center by the Russians on Ukraine, and so there's those kind of things. 1,030 Russians off the battlefield, 3 tanks, 9 armored combat vehicles, 49 artillery, and I mean, the vehicles and fuel tanks, still same kinds of numbers that we're seeing. Andrew Perpetua didn't put out his list at the time that I put this video out, but there is so much news, I can't keep up. Send help. Like, I can only handle so much excess. In fact, myself, there's so much news. I have more tabs open than I've ever had before. I'm breaking the Kursk information into two pieces. One that's kind of just here's what's going on, and the other one is a little bit more serious, deeper. Here's what's going to happen next according to the ISW. Here's the possible outcomes. So look for that video in just a little bit. Intelligence update from the British Defense Intelligence. Russian ground forces have continued conducting offensive operations along the multiple areas of the front line. This is what was happening a week ago before anything happened with Kursk. Same thing. They're still trying to drive toward Pokrovsk. Okay, the focus of the Russian operation almost certainly remains in the central Donetsk Oblast. Recent Russian advances have brought the city of Pokrovsk within approximately 16 kilometers from the current front line. Pokrovsk is a significant logistics hub which supports Ukraine operations in the Donetsk Oblast. So to chase them out of Pokrovsk would be a huge win for the Russians if they can do that. Now, I think part of what's happening in Kursk is to try to alleviate the pressure of Pokrovsk by causing the Russians to have a dilemma. Do they send, instead of stacking the Russians there and being able to send meat wave after meat wave, do they have to send reinforcements up into Kursk instead? Russia has also continued to make significant gains in the contested town of New York, and its advances in the area are threatening the town of Toretsk. Russia continues to rely on costly infantry-led assaults to make gradual advances in Ukrainian territory. That's nothing new. They've been doing that for 2 months. I saw this yesterday when a precise FPV drone strike, scouts from the 53rd Separate Mechanized Brigade destroyed a Russian flag that the occupiers had dared to display at the boarding school in New York. That's New York, the town in Ukraine, not New York City, and restored the Ukrainian flag to its rightful place. Ukraine took back this building. Now, this was 2 days ago, but so I just couldn't fit it in with everything else going on. Okay, last night, Ukraine downs all 27 Russian Shahed drones in an overnight attack. That's great, but I hate these articles because they say, well, we downed all 27 drones, but they don't talk about like missile strikes that came in, like this. Zelensky published footage of the aftermath of the Russian strike on a supermarket. Supermarket, really, like that's what the Russians were targeting. The supermarket in Kostyantynivka. According to the Ukrainian president, it's now known about 4 dead and 24 injured. A little updated later, Russian forces launched, it was a Kh-38 air-to-surface missile on a supermarket. The attack killed 10 people, injuring 35, and the numbers may change, and they have changed. At this point, what we know is 11 and 37, respectively. Yeah, at a supermarket. Right. Okay. So and then there's this. I saw this 2 days ago and I didn't put it out, just not enough time. Russians, and I'm not going to read this for YouTube censors, Russians 95% of Ukrainians prisoners of war. And I'm just going to give you a moment of silence as you read this. So remember Ukrainian POWs, and if you need a reason not to feel sorry for what's happening in Kursk, well, there's your reason. Last night, Russia experienced massive drone attack with its Ministry of Defense reporting the interception of 75 drones. The attack targeted several regions, including Belgorod, Lipetsk, Kursk, Bryansk, Voronezh, a number of places, including in the Black Sea. Additionally, unmanned boats were reported heading toward Crimea. So I can't tell you about the Black Sea, but here's some of what we know. Last night, Ukrainian drones struck a Russian repair base at Novy Oskol, Belgorod region. According to Russian sources, 7 drones hit the base, damaging 2 hangars and 3 military vehicles. We'll find out more in the days to come. Russian-occupied Chernomorskoe Crimea was hit by a number of Ukrainian drones. I don't know what exactly happened there. Russian telegram channels report a drone attack on a military airfield in Lipetsk region of Russia last night. A state emergency has been introduced in the region. The detonation of ammunition at the military airfield in Lipetsk continues. The movement of passenger transportation has been stopped in the city and the district, the governor said. Local residents say that they heard sounds of engines in the sky above Lipetsk around 2 a.m. and explosions began rumbling over the city. Loud explosions 5 hours from Moscow and Lipetsk, where Ukraine destroyed weapons storage facility of the Russian military located at an airbase there. But of course, all is going to plan. Surviving Russian military aircraft are urgently fleeing from the Lipetsk airbase after massive Ukrainian strikes. Okay, now, what else is going on? Kursk. Let's talk about Kursk. Moscow needs to feel what it has done, Zelensky says, after the Kursk incursion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday that Russia needs to feel the consequences of war. Pro-Kiev forces stormed into Russia's southwestern Kursk region on Tuesday morning, deploying about 1,000 troops and more than 24 armored vehicles and tanks, according to the Russian army. Okay, so this was Tuesday morning. They said it was about 1,000. At first, I heard it was about 300. Then I heard 1,000, and now I'm hearing many times those estimates. Russia brought the war to our land and should feel what it has done, said Zelensky. This is a fake intelligence update from the British Defense Ministry. It's not from the British Defense Ministry, but for the region in Kursk. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Pravda. Here's what Pravda is saying. Ukraine, this is pravda.ru, so Russian propaganda. Ukraine attacks Russians' Lipetsk region. Ukrainian military attacked the Lipetsk region of Russia on Friday night, August 9th. 19 enemy drones were spotted in the sky over the region, after which explosive objects detonated through the region. They didn't even try to say that they shot them down, so we'll be looking forward to seeing what they actually hit. Russian Defense Ministry shows the column of military vehicles on the way to Kursk, right? I'm not even sure that that's a picture that was like recent. That's just stock footage, I think. Ukraine taking heavy losses. This is RT, also Russian state media. Ukraine taking heavy losses in Kursk, Moscow. Of course, we've stopped them. We've killed so many. We've destroyed their vehicles. That's what Gerasimov was telling Putin. Putin wasn't even believing it. Kyiv has lost nearly 1,000 soldiers, according to Russia, and over 100 armored vehicles over the past several days, Russia's defense ministry has said. But whatever they say here, there's no way to verify. So, okay. But we do know this, Russia's forces are attempting to deploy a mix of assets to the Kursk Oblast to halt the rapid advance of Ukrainians. Seen here, a group of older Russian T-62M sporting cope cages off their equipment, transporters outside of Kursk. And here we see at night as they're moving in, this is Russian military convoys sent to reinforcement, annihilated by the Ukrainian armed forces in Rylsky district of Kursk region. Yeah, so it's bad. There's a real assault here, and it's significant. Now, Che Bose, also from RT, is minimizing it. He's saying, for the armchair delusionist celebrating the doomed Ukrainian Kursk offensive, 3 words, Rabatny, Krinkny, Belgorod. Okay, so what happened in Belgorod was just these like little raids over the border, and they came back. It was just like the Russian International Legion, but there was nothing to see there. All hallmarks are there: fawning idiot press commentators in the West, fake accounts of great victories from an army of anon trolls. Remember, okay, so remember this, where they did this shh campaign, right? And he's saying, well, it's not going to work out. But wasn't a shh campaign about the Kharkiv counteroffensive, like when they took it back? I think that's when the shh really hit. I could be wrong about that. Correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. But he's saying, no, nothing's going to happen here. But things are happening. because it's not just the International Legion. Here we have Ukraine's elite air assault brigade joins ongoing incursion into Russia's Kursk Oblast. And Ukraine's 80th Air Assault Brigade brings advanced equipment and tactics that could significantly escalate the operation's scale and impact, according to Forbes. Now, I talked about this yesterday again and again. In the daily brief, we talked about what was going on. Oh, by the way, this looks like it was an older picture, too, when Chernomorskoe posted that. I talked about it here where, Putin was clearly not impressed with what was going on. I talked about it here. I think it was Anders Puck Nielsen, who I was showing that video of, who was talking about how, like, these are serious forces. These are not the International Legion. By the way, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If my channel is new to you, I do a daily brief in the morning, and then I do 3 big stories in the evening, and sometimes I do one in between. Okay. Russians didn't have enough reason. This is Jay in Kyiv. If Russians didn't have enough reasons to panic yet, they sure do now. Reportedly, around 6,000 Ukrainian troops are now taking part in the Kursk operation. So that's the highest number that I saw before I saw this. According to Forbes, up to 10,000 Ukrainian troops may be involved in the operation. I don't know that that's the case. Somebody said, so I showed a clip of Starsky, and somebody in the comments said, why didn't you correct his numbers? Because I don't know how, because he had tens of thousands kind of numbers as well. He had significant numbers where I saw 300, and then I saw 1,000, and I saw maybe more than that. But I don't know how to correct them. I'm just telling you, here's the range of those things that are being said. Up to 10,000 Ukrainian military may be involved in the operation in the Kursk region. It is becoming clearer by the hour that what's happening in Kursk is not a raid, it's really an invasion, writes American Forbes. A journalist notes that the operation is very different than previous raids into Russian territory. It involves at least 3 brigades, each with up to 2,000 troops. So it's a big thing, what's happening here. This is John Sweeney, the war correspondent. Kursk, Ukraine has seized Russian gas metering center just across the border, snookering the Kremlin. Okay, so that metering center is what sends all the Russian gas into Europe, and that it has to pass through there. So it's, yeah, it's something to seize. We don't know what they'll do with it, if they'll blow it or what they'll do. Second Russian helicopter is shot down. This was really interesting, and it was hit by a drone. So this is the second time that this is hit, and I'm not going to show you the actual impact, but yeah, that's a drone going after that helicopter, and second one knocked down. The first one just a day or two ago. This is my conservative estimations of Ukrainian gains in the Kursk region. This is Tender. And retrieved primarily by geolocations. It makes up around 350 square kilometers or 136 square miles of territory achieved within about 48 hours. This is amazing to watch. I mean, it's really a significant incursion. Meanwhile, Putin met with the Security Council. This is the second time that he met with the Security Council. But here, Gerasimov wasn't there. There was no mentioning the Kursk region. I can't understand why you would have that without meeting about that. And then this is me. Well, it's not me, but I mean, this is how my life is. Babe, wake up. Ukraine captured another Russian city I can't pronounce. And then finally, I'll leave you with 2 more things. Interesting. So if you remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail, what are you doing in Kursk? Mind your own business. Right? Okay. Okay. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. If you remember the Holy Grail, you'll get that reference. Okay, finally, last day of work. I think this is kind of what it feels like for the Russians who were in charge of the Kursk region. Just tell me what you think about this. Yeah, this was, yeah. That's got to be what it feels like. I mean, I can only imagine that this is what it feels like if you were the officers in charge of defending the Kursk region and you thought no one's going to invade. They're just massing on the border to prevent us from invading them. And yeah. All right, my friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Look for my deeper analysis about what's going to happen in Kursk a little bit later today. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.